Shalom. First and foremost, I want to begin by giving all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rachak Radash. Double honors to the apostles and elders at the great millstone who taught me this truth, and much respect to the Akim out there laboring in his work. Peace and salutation to the hopefully elect who were scattered abroad across the four winds of the earth. Eddie USA, Shalom. So yeah, back with another lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh by Shema Shai to warn the flock, those whose eyes have been opened and ears also have been opened spiritually to see and understand these prophecies that are written in this book. As a matter of fact, just real quick, because we know that we're in that season. So Revelation 1 and 3, it says, "Blessed is he that readeth." Get this word readeth real quick. Strong G 314, which means to distinguish between, to recognize, to know accurately, to acknowledge, to read. All right. So blessed is he that readeth, or is able to distinguish or recognize or know accurately. All right. Let's see what it's talking about. Blessed is he that readeth, and they that hear the words of this prophecy. Okay. The prophetic things that are written in the scriptures, and keep those things which are written therein, for the time is at hand. Okay. The time is at hand. The time of the end is here, man. And so those whose eyes have been opened, again, whose ears have been unclogged to understand these mysteries, these prophecies, all right, we're sitting at the edge of our seat anticipating evils, great evils to kick off, because at some point, that's what we're going to see in the earth, in which the majority of these people out here are not blessed to hear these things. So they're going to be caught off guard. They're going to be snared in the evil time, once it really pops off. So this article right here from the People's Voice, Bilderberg elites authorized Israel to strike U.S. targets in a false F attack. Okay, I want to play a video that's pretty edifying. All right, going into that. But yeah, these devils are getting very desperate, and we understand now, why Revelation 12 and 12 says what it says as far as these devils coming down with great wrath, knowing that they have but a short time. Because what you're seeing going on over there in the Middle East, as far as the conflict between Israel and Iran, it's all orchestrated by these elites who are trying to pretty much set up World War III to establish a new world order. They want to completely collapse the system, as it's going to go into, and bring forth a new digital system, a centralized digital system, in which the remaining inhabitants that are not destroyed from wars, famine, or whatever, are going to be chipped, tracked, and traced. Okay, so that's what's on, the table right now for these devils, the NWO. Okay, and America's going to be at the forefront of pushing forth the NWO. So we know that Israel at some point is going to drag the U.S. into this conflict in the Middle East, to where, they're going to be involved with World War III, in which both of these nations, who are in the bed together, are going to be destroyed. All right. And that's the counsel of the Lord. So again, Bilderberg elites authorized Israel to strike U.S. targets in a false flag. Okay. You see an attack. So, before we get into it, it just popped up in my head. Ephesians 5 and 15. All right. So see then that you walk circumspectly. Circum means around. Of course, spec means to look. So, those who understand prophecy, those who understand what times they're in and can gauge and discern, where they're looking around, in the spirit, seeing what's going on in the earth, man, because we're in some evil times, as they're going to say. So see then that you walk circumspectly, looking around you, understand what times you're in, not as fools, but as wise, because a wise man's heart discerneth both time and judgment. It says redeeming the time, because the days are evil. So we're trying to utilize our time the best way that we can by being occupied in prophecy, in which, we're doing these videos, we're praying that we be preserved from these perils that we see coming. All right, because they're coming. Okay? They're coming. So we got to use our time wisely. Wherefore be ye not unwise, but understanding what the will of the Lord is. And we know that the ultimate will of the Heavenly Father is to destroy America. This is his counsel. All right? That he has purpose against Edom and Babylon the Great, and also the land of Israel. They're both going to be destroyed. So, without further ado, well, before we play that video, let's read this real quick. So it says, this week in total secrecy, the 71st Bilderberg meeting was held at a luxury hotel in Stockholm, Sweden, if you didn't know. No press conferences, no public oversight, just a carefully selected group of global elites, tech billionaires, royals, intelligence chiefs, and unelected bureaucrats, okay? And this is pretty much the secret council of the wicked, as you read about in Psalm 64. Yeah. Psalm 64 and verse 1, it says, hear my voice, O power, in my prayer. Preserve my life from fear of the enemy, which is Esau, Edom, and these are the heathen, okay? Primarily Esau, Edom, who has purpose to overthrow our goings. They're talking about depopulation in those meetings. So hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked. See that? From the insurrection of the workers of iniquity, right? So in this council, we are hidden. The Lord has shed light on this devil to expose his plans, his agenda, and how he's trying to snare the elect. But again, the elect won't be snared. Pursuant to what Proverbs 1:17, surely in vain is a net spread in the sight of any bird, because the Lord's going to allow us to escape. So I want to read this part real quick in verse 8. It says, so shall they make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. All right. So he's going to be exposed. Matter of fact, he's going to expose himself. And that's what you're going to see in this video. All right. These devils are being caught red-handed as far as their intentions, their motives. All right. And he's no longer this benevolent individual as the people thought he was. But, it's been revealed that this guy's a fucking warmonger, man. All right. So again, so shall they make their own tongue fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. So in this video, you're going to see that. All right. So let's go ahead and play it real quick. Matter of fact, I want to read this. So it says, and according to a whistleblower from inside the meeting, the agenda was clear. They officially endorsed the outbreak of World War III. All right. And it speaks about in Psalm 64, 6 and 4, how this red horse was given a great sword to take peace from the earth, man. All wars are banker wars, intended not just to redraw borders, but to reduce and reshape Western nations, clearing the path from something far more sinister, a one world government. Okay. And you got Chief Ephraim asking, well, if all these nations are not getting along, how the hell is everyone going to take a chip? Who's pushing this? Well, you got to understand first and foremost that the earth is given to the hands of the wicked, the top banking elites. All right. All wars are banker wars, and there's something to understand. So guess what? All these different nations are being controlled by the international banking families. All right. The Rothschilds. They control Russia. They control China. They control America, Israel, Iran. All right. For that council. But guess what? That council is going to backfire. So their ultimate agenda is to put the world into so much chaos throughout war, by war, famine, pestilences, to where people are going to be begging for a solution. And then they're going to come with a one, solution in the form of a chip that will be centralized. So let's continue on. And in the days since that decision, the world's already been turned upside down. War has erupted between Israel and Iran. Alliances are fracturing. Escalation is accelerating. It's not coincidence. It's choreography, right, by the upper elites. See? And here's the chilling part. The blueprint for global rule, the plan to collapse the old world, see, and replace it with a centralized technocratic regime has never been this detailed or this close. And when you go into technocratic.
Technocratic.
It says relating to or characterized by the government or control of society or industry by an elite of technical experts. Okay. So they want to form a technocracy in which the decisions will be based upon those who have knowledge and technology, which is how you're going to have that chip be brought forth. All right. So let's play this video real quick and we'll get back into the scriptures. Remember, they should cause their own tongue to fall upon themselves.
A chilling new report, suppressed by the mainstream media, reveals that Israel may be plotting a catastrophic false flag attack on American soil, eerily reminiscent of 9/11. The motive? To drag the US into another series of forever wars in the Middle East, this time starting with Iran.
So if you caught that, all right, reports that they're going to do another false flag to cause America to join into that war. Right now, we know that the least of the flock, right? We're going to try to get both of these scriptures right. So Jeremiah 49:20, it said, therefore hear the counsel of the Lord Yahweh by Shimon Shah that he had taken against Edom, all right, which is so-called white man, beginning with Amalek, your false Jew, 1948er. And when you read Jeremiah 50:45, it says, therefore hear the counsel of the Lord Yahweh by Shimon Shah that he had taken against Babylon. So Edom and Babylon are both 2 in 1. Edom is controlling Babylon, the Great America. Okay. So back up to Jeremiah 49:20, it says that he have taken against Edom and his purposes, NWO, that he had purpose against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock, they shall draw them out. The least of the flock is dealing with your your 1948ers. Shall draw them out. Draw who out? Babylon, America. Surely he shall make their habitations desolate with them. And when you go into this word least, through the spirit, and I saw Eliashua woman go into it recently. The least of the flock. And so when you go into it in dictionary aids to the spirit, you get 1948 right there. That's when the land of Israel, right, where the state of Israel was established. See that? So everything is set up in the spirit. This is the least of the flock. We should draw or drag America into this war. Strong's H5498. It says to drag, right? To trail along. See that? So this is what we're hearing right here. Let's go back into it.
According to news from Tehran, reminiscent of 9/11. The motive? To drag the US into another series of forever wars in the Middle East, this time starting with Iran. According to news from Tehran, Israel's Mossad spy agency was hacked just days before Netanyahu launched strikes on Iranian targets. The files uncovered? Nothing short of apocalyptic. Among them, blueprints for cyber warfare, targeted assassinations, blackmail material, and even the unthinkable, the Samson option. Israel's doomsday doctrine to blow up the entire world with a nuclear holocaust if their own survival is ever threatened.
Hear that again. Hear that again.
Doomsday doctrine to even the unthinkable, the Samson option. Israel's doomsday doctrine to blow up the entire world with a nuclear holocaust if their own survival is ever threatened.
And this is the reason why the scripture says, unless the Lord is short in those days, no flesh should be saved. If this man was to continue, he would fuck up the whole earth. He would literally blow up the whole earth, man. He would kill everything, including himself. That's why this devil got to be taken out of power, man. So he has a plan. If shit don't go his way, he just going to start throwing nukes.
But the most explosive revelation? A detailed plan for a large-scale false flag attack on American soil, designed to manipulate US public opinion and ignite World War III. Is history about to repeat itself? Or is something even darker on the horizon? Before we dive in, if you're interested in sponsoring this show, please email sponsor@thepeoplesvoice.tv. Our videos attract millions of engaged viewers on X and Rumble. If you're interested in getting your product or service in front of all these people, please email us at sponsor@thepeoplesvoice.tv. The USS Nimitz, a 50-year-old aircraft carrier set for retirement next year, has just been deployed to the Middle East. But why now? Why send an aging warship into a high-stakes conflict zone? Some are asking, is this a setup? Could the Nimitz be a sacrificial pawn, a floating bait, gift wrap for Israel to sink and then blame on Iran? A move designed to manufacture consent for all-out war. Sound far-fetched? It wouldn't be the first time something like this was tried. Remember the USS Liberty. Israel opened fire on American survivors as they floated helplessly in life rafts, using unmarked planes to hide their tracks. The goal? To leave no witnesses and to drag the US into another war on their behalf. Sound familiar? It should, because it worked. US service members describe a deliberate coordinated assault, followed by a cover-up reaching the highest levels of power.
Anything that moved aboard that ship, they were shot at. They took out all of our antennas within 3 seconds. Our 450 caliber machine guns were gone. Every watertight door was hit, and this went on for 25 minutes, dropping napalm on us. 25 minutes of that, you can't imagine. Every second was like an hour. We saw the torpedo boats coming. We thought, the Star of David, oh, good. Because these were unmarked jet aircraft. We didn't know who was attacking us. We thought it was the Arabs. And then we saw the torpedo boats, and the Star of David thought, oh, man, here's our best friends who are going to come help us. No, they come to sink us. They fired 5 torpedoes at us. LBJ gets on the phone, and his exact words were, I don't give a GD if all those sailors die. I'm not going to embarrass my ally Israel, like I said in the letter. Now, how did he know that if we didn't know it? Who was attacking us?
So they then have the President of the United States. So this guy's trying to do the right thing, Captain Tully. He's like, we're going to help them. He gets called back by the Secretary of Defense. He's thinking, I'm going to go over his head because this is crazy. And now the President of the United States is saying, I don't care. I don't give a GD if they die. I am not going to embarrass our friend and ally Israel. So he knew.
We were set up by our own government to die.
This wasn't a battlefield mistake. It was a calculated strike. Israel killed 34 American sailors in cold blood aboard the USS Liberty. And instead of holding them accountable, the US doubled down on its support during the Six-Day War. Now, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is turning up the heat, issuing thinly veiled threats against American lives if the US doesn't once again fall in line. He's demanding support for another brutal blood-soaked war of his own making, and warning of consequences if Washington refuses to play along.
Today it's Tel Aviv, tomorrow it's New York. I understand America first. I don't understand America dead.
It's extortion disguised as diplomacy, and once again, Americans are being asked to pay the price in blood and billions. As Jeffrey Sachs told Tucker Carlson this week, the US gave away its foreign policy to Israel for mysterious reasons, and the results have been devastating.
Israel has driven so many American wars, and we say, absolutely, yes, that's our greatest ally. These have been at huge cost to the United States, cost of trillions of dollars, cost geopolitically, but somehow we gave away our foreign policy to Israel years and years ago, and it's been absolutely devastating. And it's interesting to go back and watch Netanyahu speak to the American people. Go look at a video clip of 2001, 2002. In 2002, in October, he comes and testifies in the Senate, and there's a nice clip of him promising how wonderful the war in Iraq is going to be.
It's not a question of whether Iraq's regime should be taken out, but when should it be taken out? It's not a question of whether you'd like to see a regime change in Iran, but how to achieve it. If you take out Saddam's regime, I guarantee you that it will have enormous positive reverberations on the region.
Netanyahu has publicly said the September 11th attacks have been good for Israel. Netanyahu said, quote, we're benefiting from one thing, and that is the attack on the Twin Towers and Pentagon and the American struggle in Iraq.
Went to war.
Yeah, so you expect him to benefit off the next terror attack that they're going to create dragging America to this war.
Against a guy who had absolutely nothing to do with 9/11. It was a total pretext. It's inexplicable. And there you go to Cheney, there you go to Bush, there you go to the Jewish neocons who wanted to remake the world. Maybe I can say that because I'm Jewish, and to bring about a certain result in the Middle East.
You can.
Okay.
I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure that you can.
Go ahead.
Saddam Hussein has weapons of mass destruction. He says 100% certain. Complete lies, by the way, and they knew that they were lies at the time. And it's going to be wonderful. We're going to topple that dictator, and then dictators are going to be toppled everywhere, and the young people of Iran are going to rise up. This is his idea, together with his U.S. political consultants, together with neocons in the U.S. government for the last 25 years. They have never apologized for dragging the United States into countless wars in the Middle East, spending trillions of dollars running up U.S. debt, and doing what? Creating chaos.
Did you know the infamous weapons of mass destruction narrative wasn't just a barefaced lie, it was a marketing strategy? It came from a focus group, commissioned to find the most effective way to sell a war to the American and British public. Behind the scenes, it was Netanyahu pushing for confrontation, and the Bush administration delivering the script.
We now know not only was it under wrong pretenses, weapons of mass destruction that didn't exist, it was under completely phony, concocted, false pretenses. And in 2002, the Pentagon actually did a PR analysis of how to sell the war to the American people, a unit by a guy named Abe Shulsky. And he came up with a PR strategy, literally public relations, that the right narrative was weapons of mass destruction. So this is not, as it was subsequently told to us, oh, we made a mistake. We didn't know that Saddam didn't have them. This was a concocted narrative in 2002 to justify a war in 2003, to take away a regime that Netanyahu deemed to be hostile to Israel.
This isn't about national security, it's psychological warfare targeting we the people. And the worst part, it's working. Leaders are lying, media is echoing, the public is sleepwalking. And if we don't wake up soon, we're headed for another war that isn't ours. And that could spark World War III. Following the blueprint the globalists have been planning for decades. But
Yeah, so that's enough on that. So we see what
it's not lost.
All right, we see that the Council of the Heathen is in effect, but also more so, Yahweh Shemashah is making this council known. All right. So real quick, let's go ahead and get the book of Job 18. In Job 18. And so let's start at verse 5. All right. So it says, yea, the light of the wicked shall be put out. And the light of the wicked is this man's knowledge, his agenda. Okay. Shall be put out, and the spark of his fire shall not shine. It says, a light shall be dark in his tabernacle. Okay. And his candle shall be put out with him. And that's ultimately going to the destruction of America. So it say the steps of his strength shall be straightened, and his own counsel shall cast him down. Right. So this man's steps towards his NWO is going to be straightened. Let's get these words real quick. Straighten, to bind, to be distressed, being distressed, be cramped, be narrow. Okay. To being straight, to make narrow, cause distress, siege. So they're not getting off with the NWO smooth. All right. They're on a very tedious walk, in which eventually, they're going to stumble. So it says, and his own counsel shall cast him down. So what they got set up right now, that's the point. Their own counsel, as far as, dragging America into this thing to help them, fight this World War III, is going to come to naught. That's going to lead unto both of these nations being destroyed. You see? So his own counsel shall cast him down. Right? Let's get this in the NLT. This is Job 18 in verse 7. The confident stride of the wicked shall be shortened. Their own schemes will be their downfall. You see that? They scheming right now, but that's going to be to their detriment, their destruction. The wicked walk into a net. They fall into a pit. Let's go back to the KJV. All right. So verse 8 again, for he is cast into a net by his own feet. So the trap that he's setting, he's going to fall into that same trap. And he walketh upon his snare. The jinn shall take him by the heel, and the robber shall prevail against him. Who is that robber? That's Yahushua, that thief in the night, when they should say peace and safety. All right. The snare is laid for him in the ground, and they trap for him in the way. So what is that snare? The nukes, man. It's going to be shot from Russia and all these very different nations as well. The snare is laid for him in the ground, the silos, and they trap for him in the way. So the terror shall make him afraid on every side, right? And shall drive him to his feet. So these terrors is talking about the nukes. It's talking about the nukes, man, that's coming to America, Babylon the Great. And also to the land of Israel. His strength shall be hunger bidden, and destruction shall be ready at his side, right? So that's the point on that. Basically, their own counsel to cast him down. What is it? Proverbs 25 or 26. Proverbs 26. Yes, Proverbs 26 and 27. Whoso diggeth a pit shall fall therein, and he that rolleth a stone shall return upon. So whatever you sow, man, that's what you're going to reap. See that? So when the time of Esau, who think he's fulfilling his own, agenda, is really falling into the hands of the Lord, man. Okay? So as they said, traps for others, they're going to fall into that same trap. And the end of yours is going to be violently uprooted. Right? Was it Job 22? 20? Job 22 and 20. All right. Job 20 and 22. So here it says, in the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits. Remember? Levels of difficulty. Every hand of the wicked, the laborers, you go into the word, shall come upon him. So when he is bound to fulfill his belly, NWO, and the Most High shall cast the fear of his wrath upon him. All right, and shall rain it upon him while he is eating. Okay, as he's fulfilling his new world order, chipping the masses, destroying nations, shaking the earth up. The Lord is eventually going to shoot these nukes at America, Babylon the Great, and also the land of Israel, and destroy both of them. He shall flee from the iron weapon. All right, they're going to go into their bunkers to hide from the nuclear destruction, and the bull steel shall strike him through. So strike through America, Babylon the Great, and also the land of Israel. All right, it is drawn, it comes out of the body, the silos. Yea, the glittering sword, the nukes come out of his galls, and terrors are upon him. Right? So all in all, the counsel of the Lord, let's understand, but just going back to this article, these devils getting ready to lose their mind. All right, so look for false flag events, another 9/11 type event, right? And also that persecution that's prophesied to come as well. So some very heavy times we in. So yeah, Lord willing, y'all edify. Until next time, shalom.